bij jou komen?
You're fine.
Ja? Oké. Lijkt net zo.
Okay. Hello world. We should be live. We'll have a look and see as people jump on. Do let us know that you're there by saying hi. What we're going to be doing today anyway is pretty much just celebrating the 6 months of being 6 months after the transplant. So yeah, we'll be talking about that. I will be allowing questions, any questions related to this whole thing of my sickness and everything. So if there are anybody with questions, do put them in the chat. So again, all questions into the chat. You can ask me anything. I'll be open and honest about the whole thing and everything that happened. But what I will do is I will give a short overview of what's happened for people who may be tuning in who don't know the story. Almost 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia. Sort of immediately taken up in hospital. Pretty bad state. It's actually a miracle I was alive. When they found out my blood platelets were so low, I should have actually dropped dead in my house. But by the grace of God, I survived. I was taken up in hospital immediately went into treatment. Ended up spending 2 months in hospital because one of the chemos I got actually messed up my pancreas. Part of my pancreas was considered actually to be dead. And then by the next scan that came alive and I started to recover. I was put on medication. It's a protein inhibitor. Reason was because at that point I'd been too long in the hospital and was very weak. So I was put on a protein inhibitor and we'd wait with the chemos. But the protein inhibitor actually brought me into remission, full remission, which I was for almost 2 years. And then the leukemia came back. More aggressive, stronger, worse, really hit hard. I had months or weeks where I was lying in pain. At one point I was running 6 painkillers. My bones were so messed up that I actually broke a hip. No one knows how. I wasn't doing much anyway. But I fractured the hip. And so, I ended up having to go back into hospital eventually because the leukemia got so out of hand that we had to try something. So I was put onto a very heavy chemo and it didn't work. The doctors had the discussion with Tish and I of, we don't know what to do anymore. And then we had some friends of ours came from Belgium to visit us just for 2 days because of the situation. We prayed and we prayed and we talked and we prayed. And they were very encouraging.
Yeah, good Christian friends.
Yeah. And then miracle above miracle, the doctors decided we'd just take the medicine that wasn't working anymore and we'd try a higher dose. And I shot into remission again. And that was in September and was decided, you know what?
Well, actually, you mutated again, but you mutated back into something that could be dealt with that
Medicine. But on a higher dosage. Yeah. But so basically, I ended up in remission again. But at that point, actually, we had the discussion that was basically that's why I said I should have died twice. I was in such a bad state. They didn't know what to do, and really, their idea of fighting this mutation with old drugs on a high dosage was actually a shot in the dark. They didn't even know it could work. They were thinking it wasn't going to, and so they pretty much. It was also a miracle that I got into a remission. One doctor admitted to me in hindsight that he didn't think I was going to make it. The other doctor, my main doctor, she said she couldn't explain why, but she always had an idea I'd survive. But I always said that as well because God did give me a word when I was first diagnosed that I'd make it. So I always held on to that.
We'll
get to the questions in a moment. I just want to finish my summary. But to round it off, what happened is I was in remission. We immediately, Tessa and the doctors started this to and fro. I just remember I was in bad state, so to me it was like a tennis match, the two of them. And it was decided that I was going to go for the transplant, and my brother was a match that had already been decided during the summer. So I was taken up in hospital. I got heavy radiation. He went through the whole procedure. He broke the records of the amount of stem cells he made. So I didn't even get half of the stem cells he produced. And after that, started to recover quite. It took a while. There was sort of in what they call the dip with no immune system, and then all of a sudden just started to recover. And I still know the Thursday I was nowhere, and the Monday they said you can go home. So Tuesday we went home. That's how quick that went. And it was the 31st of October that I had the stem cells. Now, today is not the 31st of April, because there is no 31st of April. But I've decided the last day of the month is pretty much what it was. So we are now 6 months later. I've been through some meds I'm off, some meds I have to stay on. I will admit Corona is not helping out, because I was pretty much stuck in house, and as I thought, maybe I can start doing stuff. I can't do stuff now anyway, because I can't afford to get sick. So we pretty much have made it this far. It's all going well. The doctors are really pleased. I saw the doctor Tuesday. She was very pleased how I'm doing. The hard part is mostly the physiotherapy and exercises, getting that done, especially since I can't do anything and go anywhere. But we're coping, we're making our way and doing our best. And that's the summary for those people who may not know the whole story, who see this later or who are going to tune in. What we're doing is we're celebrating that, and we're going to be having questions. And you can literally ask me anything, and I don't mind. I will, provided I don't say something I'm not supposed to, but to do with privacy things. But for the most part, I'll try and answer everything openly and honestly, and we'll just handle the questions and go through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we have a question from Tank 5557600. Thank you for the question. Did you need surgery from the hip fracture?
No, we didn't do surgery. What actually happened was there was a period where I was suffering a lot of pain. I thought it was mostly muscle pain. It could also be some of the pain from the bones, because I did have the leukemia sort of shot out my bones all in one shot. It caused a lot of problems. So I was in a lot of pain. And what happened is my bones were made brittle, but we didn't know that at the time. And what we thought is that I had actually a nerve problem in the hip, because it just came suddenly, as far as we could tell. And I actually went for an MRI. It was in the MRI that they saw that my bones were actually very cracked all over the place. And that's when they sort of also saw that the hip had actually, one of those cracks had actually fractured. And that's where the pain came from. So, yeah, I had a fractured hip, and that was pretty much the what sort of that situation was. I didn't need surgery because the fracture wasn't that bad. It was pretty much one of the many cracks in my bones just split slightly open. Very painful though, I will say that. I was during that period of time with the muscle pain, the bone pain, and the fracture. I ended up taking 6 pain meds. 3 were prescribed from hospital, 3 were things we just tried and added as well.
So basically what happened is I did see his MRI from the hip fracture, and the thing was with the MRI, let's see if I can show you. Normally you don't see these kind of like scribbly things. These are his vertebrae.
Yeah, from the spinal column.
From the spinal column. And I saw all these kind of like scribbly things in them, and it wasn't known at the fact what it was. And then here, this is basically the top bit of his hip bones, and then here is already a little bit of a spot where 2 bones have actually grown together. This bit was fractured, so there was a fracture there. It was like the place where 2 bones actually fuse together when you're busy, when you're a baby and you're busy growing your bones. That part had like fractured and was wider than it was supposed to be, and it was actually misplaced. But at the time, I did not know what these, almost like doodly things in his bones looked like. What they were. Sorry, I saw what they looked like, but I didn't know what they were. So I basically asked one of my bosses what it was, and he said, well, it kind of looks like bone necrosis. That's what they said. And at
Yeah,
the time,
necrosis of the bones.
I thought that mean his bones are, dying or dead, or it was a really confusing thing for me. But what they think it was is actually that the leukemia got so bad that it like decompressed his bone marrow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing was when the leukemia came back. The funny thing was we test for a certain protein in the blood. For those who are interested, it's called the BCR-ABL test. It's a type of protein they test for, and if that protein's there, then they know the leukemia is back. So they don't test for the leukemia directly. And what they noticed is usually I'd been almost 2 years negative on that test, and then all of a sudden I got what they call a false positive. But they call it a false because it's so low, it could be anything, So they'll usually do a double check, and it was again that low. And then they said, okay, something's not right. So they did another test, and we went for, I think, a bone marrow test at that point as well. And what they found out is while my blood was had very minimal, what had happened is in my bones had accumulated so many leukemia cells. It was actually, my bones were, 70% at that point, whereas my blood was running 2%, which was odd. And so they decided to...
That was now more than a year ago.
That's about a year ago now, yeah. So...
a little over a year.
And we think what actually happened was when they put me on the new meds to stop the leukemia, that my bones sort of as a reaction went boom, and all the leukemia cells would jumped out in one shot, because I went from one day no 2% to the next day incredibly high, and it was a shock for them.
So basically what you see here is like the results of that happening, basically. Yeah. The decompression and compression again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also why I was in a lot of pain at that point, and yeah.
And that's why we also try to look after your bones now at the moment very well. So he uses calcium, of course, vitamin D, and he's supposed to take magnesium every day. But we kind of have a discussion on that. Anyway, the combination of vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium is the best for your bones, and also movement and pressure is good for your bones. Your bones actually grow stronger from pressure, and from like weightlifting is great for your bones. With weightlifting you get nice dense bones. So I actually do recommend weightlifting also to women after they went through menopause, because then your bones become more brittle as a woman, and when you weightlift you kind of counteract that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I also about the bones, I do try to also supplement with diet. Now in the past I would usually have gone for a lot of dairy products because of the calcium, but I have to admit I haven't done this now, but that's because my stomach is still adjusting from the radiation to things. So I've been a little lower on eating yogurts and stuff, but I do try and for instance, if I make stews or curries, I will do it always with meat on the bone, and then you can cook it a long time, and what it does is it takes some of the collagen out of the bones and puts it through the food, which is good.
Yeah.
And Tessra just the other day bought me just bones. I'm going to add them into a curry to cook. Then it's more collagen to be pulled into the thing to help out with the bones as well. Yeah. So I do try and find also, along with supplements, but also natural ways of supplementing what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do really recommend magnesium as well for bone health.
Yeah.
And actually also for muscle health.
Yeah. Why no magnesium? I'm supposed to take magnesium, and I do, but I hate magnesium. You know the things with the magnesium, when I take a magnesium pill, I can't swallow pills, so I have a lot of these chew pills, and my cat's going to steal my water again. But I do a lot of chewy pills, and the idea is it's easy for me to then swallow, except when you bite into a magnesium pill, it really heats up my mouth. And apparently I have this, some people have this, and I have this reaction to magnesium. And I only found out that this is something that actually really happens, because I thought, it's crazy that I do this. But in the hospital one day, when I was unable to take any meds or food, they also decided I needed extra magnesium, and they, with the drip, they gave me magnesium through the drip. But the nurse went straight in, and my whole body caught fire. Seriously, I was burning from inside, and she was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do it like that next time. And that's when she explained that some people do have that reaction to magnesium. It's almost like an allergic reaction. It's just your body sort of like goes into shock, and it's really horrible. And I get that feeling when I have a magnesium pill as well when I bite. So what I do now is I have a vitamin pill and my calcium pill. And my magnesium pill, I actually eat them together because the magnesium takes away the sweetness from the vitamin, but that vitamin stops the burnie from the magnesium. And then that way I can get them all in.
Yeah, and he's not great in swallowing pills, so he chews them. Which, if you would just swallow the magnesium pill, it wouldn't burn so much in your mouth. But yeah, that's a different discussion.
Hey, but in case my doctors are watching, I've been practicing, and I can swallow the asiminib whole. And I swallow 5 of them, so I'm quite proud of that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have another comment from Leonie Lau. Curry.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course, curry is very good.
Yes.
Tomorrow's menu is lamb curry.
Mm.
So yes,
Poor
mutton curry actually.
Thank you.
Tessera won't let me eat lamb because they're so cute and cuddly.
I
No, it
don't
is
like
mutton though.
No.
Yeah, no, but this is mutton, yes. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically
Yeah.
gee, we flew through that fast.
Yeah, I wanted to give a quick thing so that people can have a chance to really ask questions if they have any.
But basically, a little bit more than a year ago, we were at the beginning of this all.
Yeah.
And, beginning of second time you getting leukemia and the whole roller coaster. And I do hope that the coming year would be nice and calm and peaceful. Yeah. It probably will. I mean, the stem cell transplant was successful, and you just need to regain strength and build up your muscle again, build up your bones again, build up your what is uithoudingsvermogen? Endurance again, yeah.
Yeah.
Build that up. Okay, we have another comment question. Oh, from Tank again. Please make a video about food and cooking.
Okay, just to clarify, must it be like a recipe thing as to how we make things, or do you want to know about more on a dietary, because that will be different type of things, because one will be more explaining how and what,
or maybe about
but
the
if
way you
it's,
make curries or meal prepping, or
but yeah, that's what I mean. So is it how I make certain things, or how or why we eat certain ways, because we can go both ways with that, but yeah.
But if we would make a video together, or he would feature me, it would be very different, because I eat very different than him actually. This morning I was even making something vegan, because I sometimes do go the vegan route. So I had a bit of vegan cream cheese. I was making breakfast burritos in bulk, so I was meal prepping, and then I used vegan cheese and of course all kinds of vegetables, spinach and stuff like that. And that's something you would not eat.
No, but the thing is, I don't, I can't eat a vegetarian or vegan diet, and the reason why is before I got leukemia, this is maybe God's grace working to prepare, I started to explore with diets to see what I could do to lose a bit of weight, and I actually did a fruit diet where I actually gained 8 kilos in 6 months. And I was doing a lot of walking as well.
A nice answer for the next
question. It is about fruit.
Is about
fruits, I'll get into what sort of fruits I eat anyway. But what happened is I did a fruit diet and that didn't work. And I sort of was trying to find out what's the best way to lose weight. And what happened is I stumbled upon an article during that period of time from Time magazine, where they were talking about that in American diets they were trying to cut out fat, and yet the people were getting fatter. And the thing was, I sort of said the problem was sugar, not fat. So I did a bit of digging, and I sort of my conclusion is people, let's put it this way, the two extremes is one person functions of sugar, the other one functions of fat. Now there's a gradient of to how much and who and where you fall in the spectrum, but the idea is I seem to be not very good on sugars. My body seems to take sugars and store them up for rainy days and then never use them. And what I found out is when I cut out the sugars and the carbohydrates out of my diet, and I went onto a more meat and fat-based diet, I stopped gaining weight. And when I exercise and move, then I'll lose weight. So the idea is my diet has to actually consist out of proteins and fats. So that the proteins are now to build muscle, fats are to have energy and endurance, and then I eat a lot of vegetables to counteract cholesterol, which my doctor says seems to be a family issue. So it's why Tesra doesn't always do so well with meat. It actually does well working on carbohydrates. So we do tend to have that. Like when I'm making the curry tomorrow, Tesra will probably eat something totally different. I'm not sure what yet, but we split meals like that more often.
I guess because we're like on both ends of the spectrum. You do really well on proteins and fats, and I do really well on
carbs, and the other way not.
Yeah, we're not really towards each other in the middle. We're really on the spectrum. I also do really good on fruits. I like fruits, and they're a high source of vitamins. But we did see with Gert when he was on a diet that contained a lot of fruit that he gained 8 kilos. And it was a diet, you know, he was supposed to lose a little bit. So, yeah, fruits just doesn't work very well with Gert, which is a pity because there are a lot of benefits from eating fruits. But as we just already said, he does take his vitamin pills and kind of tries to supplement that. And I do have lemons that you
yes. For instance, what I'm drinking now is I've got soda water, but I put some lemon juice through it. And what I'll do is I'll try and have a fruit here and there. You know, if we have fruits in house, like when I just got out of hospital, we was for South Africans Nachi, for other people Mandarena. It was that season, so we had a lot of those in the house, and I kept buying these huge boxes of them because I ordered them from the store. Then they deliver it, and then I'd eat 2 or 3 of those a day because it would be it was something that I enjoyed and was a way of getting a fruit in. I enjoy making the odd smoothie. So sometimes, you know, I'll have a mango in the house and some orange juice, and that's the basis for a smoothie. If you have another fruit or some other thing you can mix through, but that's the basis. So I'll do that odd thingy, but I try not to have fruits every day because I know it doesn't really work for me. For me, it is better to maybe take a couple of tomatoes, a slice of cucumber, and some eggs, you know, and have that for breakfast. Yeah. That way I get my proteins and fats and have a few good veggies to fight the cholesterol.
Tomatoes have a good nutrients in it, and the lemon, of course, does contain fruit sugars, but I think it's a little bit less than the rest of the fruits, and it is high in vitamin C. So. And
it's also not like I'm eating a whole lemon. It's a squeeze of lemon juice in there for a bit of flavor and sourness.
So Tank's request for a video about food and cooking is a recipe would be nice, but maybe Tessera can also do a video about healthy meals or together, why you eat or not eat certain things. Oh, good tip. Thank you we'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, we'll have a look and see how we can work that into our video plans.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
So that's a bit topic about food.
Yeah. No, we can look
Well, you
into
have
that.
been eating differently since the stem cell transplant because you weren't allowed to have fermented food yet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yogurt was like off the chart first, but I think now you can start implementing at least yogurt.
I could probably start looking at yogurt here, but fermented things are dangerous.
After stem cell transplant. Because normally it's really good for your gut health.
Yeah. Things like organ meat, which I never ate anyway, I can't eat now. And another thing they said was raw fish is not allowed, but I have to admit, after the radiation, though,
Actually, nothing raw.
Well, nothing raw anyway. Yeah, no, that's true. But I've always been not too fond of raw meats. No, but also, anyway, after the radiation, I had that I couldn't... let's put it this way. We suspected that I had a gluten intolerance. After the radiation, I could eat no breads, no pastas, nothing that had flour in it. If you put a little bit of flour in gravy to thicken it, I'd be throwing up all night. We would buy these little fried snacks from the snack place. I couldn't even eat those because there's a little layer of flour on the outside to make them crispy. That sort of thing. I really couldn't eat anything anymore. I couldn't have mayonnaise. Dairy products were difficult as well.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of those things that limited me. And I'm now at a point where I can consume those things, but like I said, I don't do a lot of dairy or fermented things. I'll put a bit of milk in my coffee, but that's about it really, because I still know dairy does messed me up a little bit. And we've noticed when I eat bread, because I've now started eating bread again, but I'll eat like bread one day for breakfast, and the next day I'm suffering. I'm having a horrible time, diarrhea and everything. But it's something I've got to say is, if I have a really nice sandwich, I'm willing to accept it. But I cannot have for another 2 or 3 days bread, because it really messes up my system. So it's
And we are going to
yeah.
actually have him tested pretty soon on the gluten
Yeah.
intolerance, but we kind of already know, so we work around it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things you've got to sort of say, like, you have a really, really delicious sandwich that you want. Because I will say, one of the things, when you're not allowed to eat certain things, I couldn't eat fish, I couldn't eat mayo, and I couldn't eat bread. And I was craving a tuna salad sandwich, which is weird. But as soon as I could, I had one. It was hard the next day, but once I realized I could get bread back in, I decided I'm going to have one because I wanted one. So I've got to be careful with some of these things, but for the most part,
But actually, we are
it's going well
hoping
though.
that his gut health will improve by eating like fermented things like yogurt, because that's really good for your gut health. It implements a lot of good bacteria, which you need to process foods. And we're hoping that when he's able to eat yogurts and stuff like that, or maybe even like other fermented like kimchi or
there are a lot of those
kefir,
things.
stuff
Yeah.
like that, his gut health will improve and he'll be able to eat things without suffering afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that works.
Oh, we have another comment from Leonie Lau. Congratulations on the anniversary. All praises to our Lord and Savior.
Yep, that's my aunt. Yeah, I will have often that I'll just have this smile on my face staring at the window, and I'm just so thankful to be alive, and I'll just thank the Lord for that, because apart from the fact I should have died twice, just the fact that God's given people knowledge to work out how the blood works and everything, and then they can come out with cures for leukemia, and to give the doctors insight and wisdom to try things, and that it all worked out. To me, it's all a miracle. And you can ask Tesra. I've never been someone who's overly emotional, so I was always very stoic in house, and she'll sometimes, just see me just smiling or being happy or enjoying things, because when you go through a thing like this, life does take on a different meaning, actually, and I'm just happy to be alive. I'm enjoying. I'm at a point now. I can just sit and enjoy a cup of coffee. I'll enjoy a piece of cheese. I'll enjoy the cats. I'll enjoy just sitting with Tessera. Simple things that you take for granted, and it's
Enjoying the view of our house.
yeah, we have lovely views.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Enjoying a song that you would listen to, and nice song, go further. But now take the time and that sort of thing. And I really do thank the Lord that not that I had leukemia, because it's terrible, but that He brought me through, and that I can enjoy things and still live. And it's yeah.
And it is little things that make life more colorful.
Yeah.
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 I think life has become more colorful to you, less black and white.
Less black and white, but also less grey, because I used to say I like black and white rules, and then you make things grey when you need to see a personal situation. But life's got color. I mean, I know every morning I wake up and I'll make a coffee and tea for Tessa and me. And one of the things I love to do is, when I bring it into the room, is I open the curtains, and I love that view outside. Then because we're at the point in the Netherlands where when we wake up, the sun's busy coming up, and so we look outside and you see the pink into the red, into the orange, the yellow, up into the blue, and it's absolutely wonderful. And I would always in the past say, oh, sunsets are beautiful, but I never take time to look at one, and now I do, and I'll sometimes just stand staring out the window. And it's yeah.
Gosh, why is this blurry?
I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm moving my camera, is trying to readjust. Anyway, oh look, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to stand still by the little things that make life more colorful and enjoy them. But, most of the time we're stressed and so busy that we don't stand still. And it's good to just take your time and make yourself stand still to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes a pity that we have to go through hard times before we do that, though. You know?
Yeah.
And I wish I had taken time to enjoy these things earlier.
Well, I'm not great at it either. I mean, I'm usually always on the go and busy, so
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but we do talk about it sometimes, and I try to actually be more aware of it, more mindful of. Okay, let's just take a few minutes. It can just be a few minutes,
Yeah.
and enjoy something, or enjoy the view, or enjoy
Yeah.
a cup of tea, or just looking outside.
Yeah. I think we should maybe see if there's, just by any chance, if someone put something in the comments, because I know I have some people. No, the comments, not the chat. Because I know I have some family members who, or I've heard from some people who are not too sure how they can't quite get the. But there's nothing there now. Okay. No, because I've heard that some people are. I have to admit, I also don't know how this works. I've never followed a live stream on the telephone, and some people do on telephone. And I've heard the live chats a little harder to find. Anyway.
Yeah. So if there are any other questions, just ask them in the comments, and otherwise we'll wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap up for now.
Celebrate.
And if there are any other questions that come after we're done, I'll find a way of getting the answers to you. But just want you all to know we're doing well. We're getting through the Dutch version of the lockdown quite well. We still have some freedom to move around, so that's
Well,
nice in the Netherlands.
It is hard.
But it's yeah, it's hard because yeah. I will admit I did something, but I decided to do this anyway. Is spent 6 months cooped up in house. I decided one day I'm going to visit my parents because I just felt like it. But they're also pretty isolated where they are, so it's not like there's any danger for me there. But yeah, we do have to in this time take very careful care for me. We're at the moment devising plans of how we can get Tessa back to work, but she works in the medical field, so that's the thing. So we're going to have to have a look and see how we sort that out. But we got plans for that, and we'll worry about that when that gets closer. But that's how it's got to be done.
We have another comment from Lynette Jonker. It's wonderful to hear how God has worked in your life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment.
And glory to God for what He has done, because He's yeah. I don't know where I would be without the Lord. Well, I do know where I would be, because I was saved, so I'd be in heaven. But having said that, I'm not thinking, is it a good thing that I survived? No, I'm kidding. No, it's great because I've got a chance to do the things I've always wanted to do as well now for the Lord, and not be stranded by the feeling of obligations and other things. So I can, hence the YouTube channel and everything. But yeah, I'm grateful that He kept me and can still use me for things. So that's nice. I suppose if you do make it to heaven, it's not like it's a bad thing. I suppose it's our ultimate goal in the end. But it's nice to still be alive and to be able to enjoy this.
But when you're alive, you can make a difference.
Yeah.
In other people's lives, and yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be wrapping up. I thank everyone who was in listening. For those who watch it later, hope this can encourage you. Whatever you're going through in life, remember God's ultimately in control, and I do not believe God is the author of evil. But when evil things happen, I do believe God, if He didn't stop it, it means He allowed it for a reason, and He knows that more good will come out of it, as I've seen in my life and with family and with everything else that's happened. So we just have to trust Him in all of this, and whatever happens, ultimately we leave it up to Him. He's got plans, and He's working on His plans, and He'll use us where He needs us, and that's the important thing in life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for watching, and keep well, and God bless.
Bye.